Okay, here's the book, The Medical Student's Guide, Survival Guide by Stephen R. Polk. It's a great book. It's a little bit old. The fourth edition was written in 1995, but it's one of the three most valuable medical books you'll ever read in terms of the social and the business aspects of medicine. The author is very clever, very funny. He tells you the truth about the different fields. For example, you make a lot more work with less pay if you go into dermatology or ophthalmology, all right? He covers the psychology of the different fields in the medical profession. The medical profession presents itself to medical students as being this noble, altruistic field interested in helping patients. But the farther you get along, the more you'll see it's a business and it's based on money. Okay, and you need to know that because if you're thinking everything's based on clinical care and you're not aware of the money issues, you will not be happy with how things are done. Here's the opening line from the book. Then the book explains differences between private practice, university, and all that kind of stuff. What's happening on the wards, how to behave on the wards. Okay, here we go. Here's the opening line. There's trouble ahead, but none of the stiffs who train you plan to tip you off to it. No, this brand of grief hides like a snake in the woods. You won't see it until it bites, but by then it'll be too late. Right choices have now become crucial. They make a difference between life on Skid Row or a penthouse at the Ritz. Define the lifestyle you wish to lead, then select the proper gig to deliver it. Choice of specialty pegs your place in society for the rest of your life. Money in our society, it equates with territory, which all males must obtain and defend in order to be able to attract a woman. The problem is that physician marriages are more likely to split than non-medical marriages. So all of that is true, and that's a good way to think of money. It's like territory. So the guy with the most money, like the hospital, the doctor who brings the most money to the hospital, that doctor will get a lot of special treatment. I remember I was at this one private practice hospital, and we had this case where, I had come from Harvard, and we had really good cardiologists, and I actually rotated through cardiologists. I did tons of pulmonary angiograms, cardiac caths, all that stuff. And the cardiologist screwed up the case. So I said to one of the radiology docs, who I was friends with, I go, man, that cardiologist screwed up the case. He goes, nope. You can't say that. You could never criticize cardiology. I go, what are you talking about? He screwed up the case. What's the big deal? We talk about cases, He goes, no. You have to understand, he said, cardiology brings more money to this hospital than any other field by far. You can never, ever criticize cardiology. It doesn't matter what the subject is. The hospital will always favor the cardiologist over you. So unless you're bringing more money than them, don't ever, ever criticize them. And I'm like, okay, no matter how he screws up a case, we can't talk about it. Anyways, I'm just telling you that's the kind of thing that happens in private practice medicine. Okay, let's see what's next. He says how to choose a job. And also, that's what women want. Women will always say this BS. Oh, I like a man who has a good personality and he's thoughtful and he's kind. They're just talking BS because they think that's the proper thing to say in public. In real life, they want a guy with enough money to support them, who's not totally ugly. And if they had their way, they'd like him to be good looking and tall too. But at least he better support him or they're not going to want anything to do with him. They want to marry up financially and in terms of social status. Right or wrong, that's what they want. I don't make the rules. I just have to live by them. And if you're not aware of how they actually think, you'll never understand a woman. And even once you understand all the rules, you'll see that's how it is. Okay, let's see what else. How to choose a job and how to determine why they want to hire you. Yeah, are they hiring you because they really need you to do clinical work, or are they just hiring you to cover up a problem and they're not going to really let you do it? Like when I was hired in private practice, they told me they wanted me to build up the imaging-guided surgery service, interventional radiology. But in reality, they wanted me to take care of all the annoying procedures that they hated to do, and they still wanted me to take full imaging call and night call and all this stuff, which wasn't too reasonable given the fact I was covering interventional at 3 hospitals. I'd be driving around between 3 places, coming home at 8:30 at night, starting really early in the morning. And don't get me wrong, I made a lot of money, but it wasn't worth it. Anyways, I got a lot of experience too. Let's see, what's next? The book explains, one of the best things about this book, it explains how to negotiate. And I'll show you, here's the cover, is right over here. It shows you how to negotiate all kinds of situations in medicine. And you pretty much what you want to do is look at the self-interest of the other person. And he says, you want to build territory and enhance the territory of others. To threaten others' territory is to be in constant conflict. Okay, so for medical students, I say this is one of the books you should definitely read, because you'll never forget this book. You should keep a copy of it on your shelf the rest of your life, because if you get yourself into all kinds of weird, complicated situations, this book tells you how to deal with them, how to negotiate a job, how to negotiate a job problem, how to handle residency fellowship and all the politics and all the office smarts, all that. It's the best book for that stuff by far. And the guy who wrote it, he's absolutely brilliant. So he's very funny and entertaining and clever. Okay, now I'm going to show you the other two medical books that are kind of, I would call these almost a series, okay? This one right here, I'll show you mine first. Mine is straight A's at Stanford and on to Harvard, and that's pretty much, the teenager version is good enough. I made a more advanced version, but you don't need that. This will give you what you need, and it's shorter, more concise. That's me at my graduation from medical school with my parents. Okay, so the point of it is, this was how you apply for medical school, how to do well on the MCAT, how to behave at the interview. Because I screwed up at my med school interview. I remember there was some Asian lady at Northwestern, and she asked me, oh, how do you like Stanford? And, me being young and stupid, all I did was wrestle and study. I was thinking that was a real question. How do you like Stanford? I'm like, I don't like it. The women are ugly, and there's hardly any social life. All I do is wrestle, and at least I live in a fraternity. She hated fraternity guys. I didn't get accepted at Northwestern, which is like a joke. I would have been first in the class over there. But that's what happened. So I screwed up my interview. So I'll talk about that, and I didn't even get an interview at Stanford because there was these weasel kiss-ass guys I knew who were doing research with the professors at Stanford, so they got good letters. I was a way better student than all those guys, but I didn't even get an interview at Stanford. I couldn't believe it. Anyways, I learned my lesson. All right, despite the fact later on I graduated first in my class, and I'm actually half Puerto Rican, so I'm actually affirmative action, which is another joke. They don't really want smart affirmative action people. They want puppets. Anyway, so my book will go through all the ins and outs of med school and dealing with all the social stuff, but there's another book you need to know about. Here's the other book. This book is House of God by Samuel Shem. This is a very good book about internship. It's the best book ever written about internship. How do you negotiate all the ins and outs of internship and what's real and what's BS? Okay, that helps in medicine because you got to know there's a lot of politics in medicine. There's a lot of knowing who's really controlling things, where's the money going, why are things happening, is this happening for the patient, or is this happening for the money, or is this happening for convenience? And the more you understand what's going on, the easier it'll be to get along with people. Anyways, I hope you found that helpful.